What is up, friends? Happy Saturday. And it's a traditional Saturday morning comics show here on the John's Comics channel. Good to see everybody. Thank you for coming out and hanging out. We're going to talk about new comics that I've been reading. We're going to talk about trips that I've gone on. We're going to talk about things that I've picked up and friends that I've seen. And we're going to spin some wheels and give away a prize to one of the channel members. We're going to have a jam-packed show this morning, so I hope that you're all ready and buckled in for a good time. Let's dive into the chat. Say hello to some of our friends. We got Tailgater Wellbore in here a half an hour early. What is going on? And of course, he's joined by our friend Ruben Guzman as well. Cowabunga to you, sir. The early morning gang here and representing. But then we got Perry Comics coming over from the Discord. We got Rod the Rican, who was just live a little earlier today while I was reading. Somehow I missed that. But yeah, look at this. Two members of the Four Horsemen jumping in, one after the other, and wielding those wrenches with authority. Thank you, gentlemen. We got my friend Dio Wolf in the chat, and he's been making a bunch of really great videos. He's been doing little fun top threes, pulling out 3 comics from his collection. Follow him. If Rod or Perry can drop his link, or anybody like Lasso is in here too now, drop Dio Wolf's link so that people can subscribe and follow, because it's a really fun YouTube channel. He does it on Instagram as well. You can see the videos there. But he's been posting top threes from his collection. A really fun, easy way to share some books and interact. It's really cool. Digging it. I'm the horse from the third line. What is going on, Lasso? I didn't say hello well enough to you this morning. What's going on, Ryan? I spoke to Ryan just last night while I was getting some of my reading done. He's going to be super proud of me because this is like an all DC show for the comics that I read this morning and yesterday and the day before. Just been reading a ton. So lots of good DC discussions. I got 3 series with a ton of issues that I've been going through. And thank you for doing this, Ryan. But yes, gang, give a subscription, jump over, add that to your watch list. Check out Dio Wolf here, Instagram as well. Absolutely. So yeah, let's spin our first wheel, because we got to get a couple of names off of this list over onto the big wheel, the main wheel. So if you don't know, these are the channel members. There's a little join button at the top. Dio Wolf is on here. You can see his name. You can see Perry. You can see Rod is on the main list. He's over there as well already. So there's lots of friends listed here. I'm going to shuffle their names a couple of times, and we're going to pull 2 names off of this list, because for every 5 homies, we pull a couple off. Oh, Dio Wolf getting the pick. Look at that. I'm going to hide his name. Congrats to you. I'm going to add you to the main list here in just a second, but we're going to shuffle 3 more times, and we're going to pull somebody to join you. Pull some people off the list here. It's Drew Manchu, baby. There we go. Drew and Dio. I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to add you guys to the main list here. Let me see. Dio Wolf and Drew. So both of them will be eligible to win the monthly prize for September. I've been traveling, so I missed the opportunity to do the big giveaway like I do right at the very beginning of the next month. Should have been last weekend, but I was in Florida. I was in Orlando for White Whale Comics' wedding. I got some wedding pictures to share with you if you want to see. I met up with a good handful of community members while I was there, so I can share some of their ugly mugs as well, and you guys can enjoy it. So there you go. 2 new people added to the main prize wheel that I'm going to spin here, maybe in about 30 minutes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. Let's start with a book. Let's start with some reading material, and I'm going to pick the one that Magic Lasso is probably most enthusiastic to hear about. What is going on? Ian is in the chat. What's going on, sir? Good to see you, friend. That's right. I caught up on last year. This was my all-time favorite of the Marvel DC books that was being published. This is Tom King's Wonder Woman. And last year, when I made my list of the best books from Marvel and DC, this was easily number 1. It was not even close. I will say, until these 4 issues, it was still holding down that spot. But these 4 were probably my least favorite of the run. So we're on issues 22, 23, 24, and 25. So, can they all maintain a level of quality I mean, it's really tricky. We know that Tom King struggles on ongoing books sometimes and can get a little bogged down. So I get it. I understand, but not my favorite. This Mouse Man storyline. It's kind of like about a cult and people being manipulated and controlled, and all they can say are Mouse Man knows and Mouse Man have ears, or mice have ears, and it's very strange, very odd. Um, there are some fun little cameo moments and some fun little things, and I do like the mystery of it, but it feels over long, like it's overstayed its welcome a little bit for me. I loved the Sovereign storyline, and that finished at issue 19. So the first 19 issues of this run were spectacular, and honestly, as good as any independent book that's being published. Honestly, it is absolutely wonderful. And if you haven't read those 19 issues, I highly recommend them. Very, very good story. Very, very good characterization. Wonderful action. Lots of good plot twists and some very heartfelt moments. Then we got a 2-issue story, 20 and 21, with Batman, and I thought that was fun. It was like classic comic book stuff. There's a murder in Themyscira, and Batman and Wonder Woman have to prove somebody's innocence, that they didn't do it, but they're dealing with the gods, and the gods point a finger at Batman, and they tell Batman that if they don't solve the crime to their satisfaction, he's going to get killed. Those were great issues, 19 and 20. I really, 20 and 21. Very entertaining 2-part murder mystery story. Loved it. And it was different than the Sovereign, but I was fine with it. It was a fun new direction. However, the Mouse Man stuff has not won me over yet. It doesn't feel worth the effort that it takes to write and tell the story. I'm hoping that it ends soon, and maybe Lasso can let me know how quickly this Mouse Man story is supposed to end, because it feels already like it's overstayed its welcome at issue 4. We do get, I will say, this newest issue, and I know this is like the hot cover right now, or one of those speculator books right now. What is going on, Carlito Classico? What's going on, buddy? This is a better issue, but it's only better because half of the issue is in the future, and you get like a future storyline kind of thing with this character, the matriarch. And that's great because we're not dealing with the Mouse Man. So I liked this issue better than 22, 23, and 24, but I don't know if I loved it enough to want more Mouse Man story. I want the Mouse Man thing to end. So that's me currently right now. And I know there's some people feeling the same way, but this was a better book as far as this current Tom King run. Lady Prime is in the chat. What's going on, Lady Prime? Happy Saturday to you. Oh, and there's the newlywed himself, Mr. White Whale Comics. How are you doing, sir? Good to see you. Wonder Woman throws Mickey Mouse off a cliff at the end. I mean, fair. Matriarch is tied to Mouse Man Island, but it's like a jump to the future, because they show like an aged Superman, an aged Batman, an aged, they show, the Justice League older. So I thought it was a jump to the future personally. I was trying to figure that out. Yeah, spec book. Yeah, I'm a spec king. You know me. I'm always hunting down I just picked this cover because I liked it better than the other covers. The other covers were not so good for issue 25. Yeah, 25. So there you go. There's a quick rundown on Wonder Woman, my favorite big 2 comic from last year. It has stumbled a little bit. I wouldn't say it's certainly still top 5 of Marvel DC, but I don't know if it's still holding tight to number 1 for me. It's a little bit more of a race now, whereas last year it was not even close, not even close at all. He's jumped to the future, but she was born on Mouse Man Island. Okay, so the character of the matriarch born on the island, and then we jump to the future to see. Got it. All right, more information, valuable. Let's jump to the book that I've enjoyed a ton over the last couple of years, and I know White Whale and Alec and I, we've been hot on the covers for Poison Ivy. And I stopped reading somewhere around issue 27 when they finished the first big storyline with her and the Lamia spores, the mycelium, the mushrooms that she was evilly planting across the country that then came to life and became these zombie creatures. It was a fun horror comic book kind of thing, and it was a roller coaster because I know that it was a limited series, then it was a maxi series, and then it was an ongoing series, and at each point it felt like poor G. Willow Wilson was trying to tie these strands together as best as she could. I've loved this book from the jump. I've very much enjoyed this version or this vision for Poison Ivy. It lines up with how I've always felt the character should be. I like the perspective on her relationship with Harley, her relationship with Croc, her relationship with nature and Batman, and I think they do a good job of tying those things in, and that's what I've enjoyed most about it. And when that first major arc ended, I felt like, I want to break for a little bit. I don't want to keep up. I like reading it in little clumps. And so I took a significant break. And then this week I read all the way up to the present, which is issue 37. So I read a ton of Poison Ivy and I'm fully caught up now. And what I wanted to share with you was some of the cool visuals. I actually put together a little slideshow for you guys. So let me share that so you can check it out, because I wanted to share the visuals, because again, this comic, especially when it's drawn by Marcio Takara, who does, I would say, about 2/3 of the series, I think his work is incredible. So there's just a kind of sampler of this book, and what I wanted to highlight was this newer story arc seems to be dealing more with the gods of this portion of the DC universe. And by that I mean the green, which is like the Swamp Thing universe, the red, which is like the Animal Man universe, and now a newer universe called the gray, which is these Lamia spore monsters, these mushroom monsters that Poison Ivy's created. The artwork, gang, is just freaking cool. Like, look at this. It gives me some Slight Alan Moore, Swamp Thing era vibes. I love the guy. I think it's Peter Undine is his name. The guy with the giant flower for a head. I love this guy. He gives me like the TV guys from Saga. It gives me those kind of vibes. He's always in the nicest suit, and then he's got this crazy flower for a head. I absolutely think this is perfect for this universe. Again, it's a horror comic. I think at its core, I feel like there's this body horror kind of thing happening in Poison Ivy, where people are being taken over by these spores, or they're being controlled by the green, this sort of connective, godlike connection to nature on Earth, which is a whole swamp thing, discussion. And then the red, which is the human sort of blood living creatures side of Earth, and Animal Man is a big part of that if you've ever read Animal Man. So the cool thing about Poison Ivy is she kind of sits in between these two universes, right? She has a foot on each side, and now that there's this gray universe, it's a kind of cool way to give some visuals to these gods, right? I wanted to share a couple other pages here. So here's one where she connects with the plant universe, and then it tells her the history of man's relationship with nature and how the green was trying to impact humanity and give them good guidance. But what a cool spread page there. And then you can also see kind of what happened specifically in this little town in the swamps of Gotham where she's taken over. And again, this page right here is Marcio Takara. The farther page is one of the other artists that comes in from time to time. The horror vibes, really cool. I love the creepy horror vibes. It's a perfect October book. So I'm glad I kind of waited to now. Here is the god of the gray, this evil sort of creature who's trying to control what Poison Ivy is doing. And then look at this psychedelic splash page kind of over there with the crazy cosmic coloring. It's really beautiful stuff. So the art, again, time and again, the artwork is fantastic. And I highly recommend it, if only for the visuals. But the story is also fascinating as we're digging deeper into these three facets of poison ivy, and some of the I guess you could say, like, battles going on inside of her. Do I care more about this natural world? Do I care more about the human side? Do I care more about the decomposers that I've created, this sort of species of mushroom people that I've created? It's an interesting dilemma that she's stuck with. But yeah, visually, a really stunning book that really hits a lot of home runs for me. And this is, I think, the last page I've got for you here. But again, you can see the way they capture sort of poison ivy being, I don't want to say corrupted by, but certainly being changed by nature. And this is a new kind of costume look for her, with the flowers kind of growing out of her almost, and the vines and things inside of her. Really interesting. And then, of course, the creepy cemetery on this island city that she's sort of taken over in the swamp, that is sort of a nexus point for the green, the red, and the gray. Very interesting stuff that I think has a fun, I guess, mythology to it inside of the DC universe that has a lore, right? You know, whether you're a Swamp Thing, Alan Moore kind of fan, or an Animal, Grant Morrison kind of fan, or a Poison Ivy fan, I think there's all these things kind of come together here in a kind of fun way. But I think that was the last. Yeah, that was the last of these pages. So I'll stop sharing that. But just to I wanted to give you a kind of visual so you could kind of see some of the artwork in the inside of the book, because sometimes I hear the people talk about the story, and I'm like, but what does it look like? How is the artwork doing? How are they doing with the artwork in the story? I have picked up some fun variants, so I'll skip the cover A's, because cover A's, yeah, they're cool, but the variants for poison ivy, that's where it's at. What's up? Shop is in the chat. What's going on, Shop? Where's John Doom? I haven't shared John Doom in a while. Where are you at, Johnny? John Doom. There he is. Look at this guy. Handsome devil. There he is in the chat. Shop. So yeah, some fun variants. Oh, and there's one issue I wanted to go over before I get too far. Always love the poison ivy variants, and when I go into shops, I'm usually looking for variants that I don't have, if they've got one that I somehow missed. Like I got this one, I think, in Florida. Fun classic look for poison ivy. I think I got this one at my LCS though. Fun and creepy, again with the fly trap. And then yeah, the others are cover A's, so the basic stuff. But I wanted to share issue 30, which goes back a ways now. We're talking, 7 months ago. Raging Cajuns in the chat. What's going on, JD? Good to see you, sir. Gordon is here. What is going on? Gordon says he got the one per store. Ooh, I do have just the A cover. It's buried over here, so I can't quite reach it, but it's there. I wanted to share issue 30 because it did something that I haven't seen done quite this way, but certainly not in a long time. And so here's the cover A with poison ivy, and if you see here, we have Janet, the new character that's sort of been in and out of this series. They call her Janet from HR. But here's the cool thing: if you flip the book over, it's inverted. You've got Janet in the swamp and Ivy's head. So this is the same comic, but there's like an inversion going on. And the way they wrote this book is cool. It doesn't matter which way you want to read it. You want to start with poison ivy, you can read the poison ivy story. It's really interesting. And then when you get to the middle, you hear poison ivy hears a voice, and all of a sudden the story flips upside down. And you see Janet coming in. That's when you stop. That's the very middle. You can see the staples there. You stop, you flip the book over, you start from the other side, and you get Janet's story. And Janet's running through the swamp, and she's got big choices to make. And as she's going along, lost in the swamp, she sees Ivy, and you see her call to Ivy, and now you're back to the middle again. It's a very cool way to read a book. So again, this is Poison Ivy 30. And the design of it is that it's two halves of the story that are playing out at the same time. that are working towards the middle, if that makes sense. And the middle of the book is the end of the book. You just read to the middle and then you go back to the other beginning and you read to the middle and now you've caught up, right? It was a really fun device and it worked really well in the way they were trying to tell these two simultaneous moments where Ivy and Janet are both kind of forced to make big decisions. And it was a cool way to read a book. And I was just I was impressed by the ingenuity, the creativity. Again, G. Willow Wilson, obviously very talented writer, but Marcia Takara on art elevates the story in a big way. And there have been issues without Takara on art that have been less exciting for me. And I think some other artists sometimes get caught up in just making people look sexy and not necessarily telling a good story. And with Poison Ivy, it's, I think, easy to do that. Versus Takara, I think, always has this gothic horror vibe going that I think is kind of fun. And the story is focusing on character more. And I like when it's when I look at the cover and I see it's a Takara issue, I get far more excited than an average, oh, it's somebody else. So like the newest issue was a different writer. The last two, I think. Yeah. So I think Takara is on a bit of a break right now. So take it or leave it. It's kind of a, for me, it's not as exciting when Takara is not on the book. So let's get into some other things. So let's jump over and let's talk a little bit about this guy. Hey, look at that handsome devil. And Alec is there too. Yes, this is a picture from Whitewell Comics' wedding. He's looking all dapper in his black and purple there. It was a great trip, gang. I had a really good time. So many fun people to see, so many great discussions about life and nerd culture and all these things. And I have only been to Florida a handful of times in my life, and two of those were for the comic book community. One of them was to go to MegaCon. And I had tried to go to MegaCon right before COVID, and then COVID hit and it all kind of went sideways. And then when COVID ended and conventions were kind of coming back, I made the trip and I got to go to MegaCon. And while I was there, I met a ton of the community. I spent a lot of time with friends like Alec. He let me crash on his couch, and I got to meet his bride to be, Brianna, and it was just a whole lot of fun. I even went to Hollywood Studios, which is one of the 4 Disney worlds. If you don't know, Disney World sounds like one place, but it's actually 4 different theme parks, all in Orlando. Not necessarily right next to each other, but sort of spread out, and each with their own entrances and exits and costs and these kinds of things. So I went to Hollywood Studios with who did I go with? Old Wolf was there, and Julie was there. Alec was there. And we basically went and did some of the Star Wars stuff and some of the Pixar stuff. And those are the rides that are predominantly in that Hollywood Studios. It's mostly Star Wars and Pixar for the most part. The Marvel stuff, for the most part, is actually the theme park rights to Marvel in Orlando are owned by Universal. And so Spider-Man and those characters are over in Universal, even though Disney owns the rights to merchandising and all those things. I guess somehow long ago, Marvel sold the theme park rights in Florida, specifically Florida, to Universal. So that was a few years ago, a whole lot of fun. And I was excited to go back this time because the idea was to go to one of the other 4 theme parks in Orlando. One of the other 4 Disney theme parks. The other 3, if you don't know, outside of Hollywood Studios, you have the Magic Kingdom, which is like traditional, what I would think of as Disneyland, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, and those kinds of things, the Disney castles. Then there's Animal Kingdom, which I guess has like a nature vibe. It's got a zoo. It's got Avatar, the blue alien movies. So it's got a whole other vibe to it. And then the park that we went to is called Epcot. And that's the one I got to experience this time around. YouTube is 90. What is going on, sir? He's jumping over from the Discord, taking a little break from Magic the Gathering. So this was my first time going to Epcot, and I've got a lot of videos. I'll probably put together a little video at some point, just kind of showing what it looks like and cruising through. But it was definitely a highlight. Here's Alec and I standing in front of the big sphere in Epcot that kind of is the visual cue that I think a lot of people, when they think of Disney World, they think of the Epcot sphere here, which for me, I didn't understand for a long time that, this was not the Magic Kingdom. This was Epcot, and Epcot is designed kind of like a giant wheel with a huge lake right in the middle and all of these fun cultural experiences around the outside. And every, 30 feet or so that you go, you leave one country and you enter another country. And they're all sort of beautifully designed so that you look like you've walked through Italy, and now you're walking through France, and now you're walking through Norway. And in each one of those, they have authentic foods and shops, and all the people working in that area are on a cultural exchange program, and they're from those countries. So you go into the Japanese section, and it's managed by people from Japan, and they all speak Japanese, and they're happy to interact with you. And they obviously speak English as well, but they're trying to make a real cultural experience as you go through Epcot. I was really impressed by that aspect of it. And the food, man, if you want to try a traditional food from a certain country, you can go to that place and either sit down in a restaurant, or you can go to the little carts and get little appetizer samplers and get a beer and all these kinds of things. And it's wild, man. It is wild. It is not what I would think of as Disney, and it really blew me away. I was really impressed by it. The Reverend in the chat is trying to take my crown. My Burger King crown is right up there. You can't have it. What is going on? Raging Cajun says German beer, all you need. I will say, yeah, it is food and wine festival right now, and so it's a little bit more probably elevated as far as the options and the things that you can get during this festival. I did not have a single alcoholic beverage while I was there, mostly because I didn't want to get too tired and I didn't want to have to worry about driving back to my hotel. But because I had just flown in the day before, I was a little jet lagged. So I wasn't feeling like pounding a beer or a cocktail would be a good decision. But I did eat a bunch of food. I sampled a bunch of things. I tried these fun little pizzas that they had in Italy. I did the noodles and some dumplings in China. I got a delicious pastry in the Norway, sort of like based on the movie Frozen section. I tried one of the cheese breads that I believe was in the UK. Maybe Alec can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that was in the UK. So I got a bunch of different things from a bunch of different nations as I was cruising through, and just enjoyed everything. It was absolutely delicious, absolutely phenomenal. I will say my group was keeping up. They were always getting a new beer, trying a new thing, and I was like very impressed with them. I think I said hi to Wellbore, but I'm going to say it again. And now we got Super Russ 9000 in the chat. YouTube royalty just walked in here, gang. Super Russ is crushing the YouTube game as always. Ooh, sorry, burping a little bit here. Thinking about all that food, I guess. But it was really fantastic. Here is Alec and I think this is the Italy section. I think this is in the Italy section. It looks a little bit like that for me. Oh no, that's the Germany section. That's what that is. So there we are. Of course, I'm wearing the badge. You got to get your first time badge. Those are free. Indy Disneyland Park. If it's your first time, you got to go get them. Highly recommend it. And Alec, of course, wearing his witch t-shirt, his horror shirt. Very good. Yeah, you got to get that first time button, man. It's all about it. I'll take a beer, a root beer. I mean, hell yeah. Oh, so that's Germany. Okay, I was right. Okay. Took me a second. It's hard I was, not focusing on the background as much. I also got to see these two fine gentlemen from the Comic Corps. If you guys don't know, Drew Manchu in the middle there, and then C. Woodard right here on the edge. That's C. Wood 19. Carson and Drew were awesome. They go apparently to Disney World every year. They'll hit Disney World. They'll go to Universal's Horror Nights. They'll do the whole theme park Orlando experience as a crew. And it's usually the two of them and another gentleman I'll show here in a second. Sometimes they've got Kat Wren and her husband Mark. Now they've got a new baby, so I don't know how that works as well for them, but this is like an annual thing for them. But that other gentleman I hinted at is this guy, the Comic Core incarnate. Mr. Chad, the head of the Comic Core from back in the day. He was there, of course, as well. This is the T and I sitting together at the wedding, having a good time. And this is all of us standing around the groom, along with a Joe. I didn't mention Joe, another comic book friend, talking with Alec and I. So this is the comic nerd corner of the wedding. These were the people, if you wanted to talk comics and nerd stuff at the wedding, these were the four people that you needed to find. And we were often always kind of lumping together to chat about this comic or that comic. It was a whole lot of fun. So the four of us were holding down court at the reception. You have to believe. Should have had one beer, John. You would have been fine. I was in Disney 2 weeks ago, stayed at a Disney resort, so I had the bus. I mean, that's the way to go. And I know that Carson and the gang that was there, they went the day after us. They just Ubered. They did the Uber there and the Uber back to their hotel, and they were like, nope, all good. But I wanted to have energy for the rides, and I'm getting to the age where I can easily get nauseous on these rides. And the last thing I needed was a belly full of beer and to be, puking on Guardians of the Galaxy, which is an amazing ride. I'm going to take a second here and talk about that. I don't know how to describe this roller coaster, gang. I don't know how. Brucifer, what is going on, my friend? Kingdom of Nerds in the chat. So the ride that they've got for Guardians at Disney World, specifically at Epcot, is nothing like the one we have in California Adventure. In California Adventure, we have this elevator ride that is basically a repurposing of the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror ride, and you just sort of go up and down, and it's fun. It's not a bad ride, but it's not a roller coaster. In Epcot, their Guardians of the Galaxy ride is a roller coaster, but it is the craziest roller coaster I have ever been on in my life. And here's what it felt like to me. It's basically like Space Mountain in Disneyland, where you're inside of a big sphere and you're going in loops and you're going up and down and then turning hard corners. And it's kind of dark. There's some black lights and things like that going on, and certain things pop out that you can see, but it's hard to see because it's in the dark. But here's the thing that this ride does that I've never experienced before. You're always going forward, right, on the track, but your car rotates while you're going forward. It's really tricky to explain. So you're going down the track, and as you're making that turn, your car turns sideways, but you continue to go down the track. And sometimes your car turns backwards, and now you're going backwards down the track. So it's like you're sitting on a Lazy Susan, but you're still riding, but the Lazy Susan is riding on the track, but you're rotating from time to time as you go along. So there's times when you're going sideways this way, sideways that way, forwards, backwards. The experience of riding it changes because you're rotating while you're riding the roller coaster. It's wild. I had no clue it would do this. So I was ill prepared for the experience, but it was the first time it pivoted, I was like, what is going on? Because firstly, you go down and you stop, and you have this moment where you're like wondering what's going to happen. And then you think this little portal opens in front of you, and you think you're going to launch forward, but you launch backwards. And I was just like, okay, already I'm off. I don't know what's happening a little bit. Hopefully you still hear me. One of my kids must be using the internet in a big way. The Cork is in the chat. What's going on, Cork? Good to see you. If you guys don't know that joke, you got to go back and find some of those old Wolf hangouts when he was visiting me about a year ago. That's when the Cork first started showing up. So JD has not ridden this ride yet. It must be that new. It's that novel, I guess. But it was absolutely incredible, a phenomenal ride. And I went on it twice. It was so good. I got back in line and rode it again later. It was really, really wonderful. And I don't know if I loaded any photos of Alec and I waiting for it. Nope, I did not. I do have one of the wedding. I don't know how many of these Alec feels comfortable with me sharing, but yes, there's he and Brianna getting married. Her dress was incredible. Her headdress is amazing as well. All of the bridal party were in white, and Alec and Brianna were in black. He had the dark purple shirt. It was gorgeous. It was really, really cool. They did a great job. And the food was amazing too. Oh my gosh. The appetizers beforehand and then the main dishes there. It was just good eating for all of us. We did very, very well. So there's a few pictures from the trip, a few goodies to share so that you guys got a sense of it. I will, like I said, I shot a lot of video. I'll probably be putting together a little bit of stuff on maybe some of the shops I visited. I visited 5 or 6 shops in and around Orlando, got some good comics. And then I also took videos of my trip to Epcot because it's my first time going there. And I wanted to capture some of the experience of Epcot. So hopefully I can piece all that together and give you a fun overview of that. But now that we're pretty deep in the show, let's spin that wheel one more time and see who won the September prize packages. So I'm going to share this. Hopefully you can see it. There we go. A little bit of lag, and a commercial. That's all good. I'm going to shuffle the names on there. We've got 17 names. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. So there's 3 shuffles, and I'm going to spin it, and we're going to give this away. One of the channel members is going to be winning a prize. It looks like JP. Oh, the wolf got beat out. It is JP Budget Collection. So he has send him anyways. Oh no, wait! I think I shipped him everything, so I will hit up JP. Congrats, JP! It's good. I'm actually wearing his T-shirt. Rigged. It's rigged. I'm wearing the JP shirt, and he wins the prize. There you go. But I will hit up JP and make sure he can choose. As always, the prize packages every month. I've got a ton of trade paperbacks over here. An absolute wild collection of trade paperbacks. Marvel, DC, Indies. I guarantee you there's something you want from over here. And so I usually let the winner choose a couple, and then I throw in some fun variants. Usually there's a Storm variant or a Poison Ivy variant in there and some fun comics. And I send a little Gemini mailer full of goodies out. So he won the one for September. If you join during October, you will be entered as one of the options to win. Let's take a look at some of those homies. I've got their names all here for you. I've got 2 people on the new Comic Book Day Coalition, my friend Sarah and my friend Adam. They are holding it down. They each get 2 entries on the big wheel. So congrats to them for those. And I appreciate all the support. And then there's my X-Men squad crew. These are homies all get 1 entry as well. So they're all on the prize wheel once. And then I've got my New Mutants, and those are the people that I spin. And every 5 people on this list, somebody jumps over. So it was Drew and Dio Wolf this time who jumped over and made it onto the big prize wheel. And then we spin and give something away. So each month, some goodies going out. And usually also whenever I do a big channel giveaway, I usually try to throw some extra prizes in there just for channel members. So that's always good fun. But we do have a big show coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We have Comics Curing Cancer. 2 weeks from today, on the 25th, I am doing a massive live stream, couple hours long here on the channel, and I have 3 huge prize packs to give away during that show. And each of my 3 massive prize packs has a slab and a ton of key fun comics. And the only way to get in and win is to donate during my live stream. So if you donate $25, every $25 you donate to Comics Curing Cancer, to the American Cancer Society, during that show, you get 1 entries on my wheel. And if you win a prize, I just take that 1 entry off, and you still have. I'm blipping out again. This darn internet is blipping again. It's good that I'm getting through this now before I get completely frozen out of the internet here. So there are ways to enter, and when that show happens, it'll be on Saturday, the 25th. I think I've got I'm not mistaken, there's a Batman prize pack, there's a Thor prize pack, and there's a Marvel Fanfare prize pack, which might be the best one in my opinion because it has some ungodly like 30 issues of Marvel Fanfare, including the first 9 issues. And the very first issue is a 9/8 slab. So you get like a massive collection of Marvel Fanfare. Really cool set of books. So I have all of that. And a part of that was because of our friend. Where is he up at the top here? I've got to get up here and find him. White Tiger. Ruben gave me a bunch of Marvel Fanfares. I bought a couple of my own. And added them to the prize pack, including that 9/8. So I put together a nice big set of books for Comics Curing Cancer for just Marvel Fanfare alone. But then I've also got a whole Jason Aaron Thor pack with I think a 9/2 slab, 9/4. I got a slab for that with a bunch of keys in there. And then I've got, I think the other pack is a Batman pack. So lots of goodies. And that event is coming up on the 20th. My show will be on the 25th, but that is all weekend long. Friday the 24th through Sunday the 26th. And then I think there's even a couple. I saw Nick Comic Culture posted a video saying he might do some like preview night shows, the days beforehand, maybe the Wednesday before the whole thing kicks off. So some goodies out in the community. So save up a little bit if you can. Be ready for in 2 weeks. There's going to be a ton of deals on. I mean, I've gotten so many pieces of original art, slabs, runs of comics. Last year, I got an entire run of the Savage She-Hulk, and I think I paid like $100 for it, the whole run. And it included a slab, I think 7.5 of the first issue, and then the whole run. It was absolutely bonkers what I got that run for. It was stupid cheap. So be on the lookout. There are always deals happening. And again, that's how I started my original art collection, was just mainly watching out for this event every year. Something to think about. I have 2 more books I want to discuss. Get that heart going, get that coffee going. First up, I've caught up on Birds of Prey. This is Kelly Thompson, and I've been very much enjoying this. I loved the first storyline with Themyscira and Wonder Woman, and the way they brought in the Amazons was just so fantastic. The second storyline I thought was funny, but it was a little bit childish. This issue in particular is hilarious because they're all like anime versions of their characters. I can share with you. What is up, Tacoma? Good to see you, sir. How you doing, Ian? Let me see if I can find a good, yeah. They land in a dimension where they're all sort of cartoon animated versions of themselves. So the cover is very fitting to what you get on the interior. Here's Big Barda fighting off cute little white fluffy bunnies. And they're angry. You can see they're demon bunnies. And they're not interested in Big Barda telling them what to do. It was very funny and entertaining. And then obviously they get back to our world and they get, the animation, the artwork changes to be more, traditional comic book style. So I've been enjoying this run. I don't love the like multiversal stuff that DC can get a little bit heavy-handed with at times. So I was happy that storyline ended, and I think it ended around issue 14. So I read through all of that. Here's 13, and then I got a variant for issue 14. And then I got a variant for 15. And so then the next storyline was a shorter one, and I enjoyed it a bunch. And it was a mainly Cassandra Cain story, and this cover is fantastic, and it captures the idea that like she's undercover, and there are these women, mostly Amazonians, who have been captured, and they're being like drained of their energy, their power, their life force, and then monsters are being created with that energy. So it was a very entertaining storyline, and that was one of the better ones. And Barda, when she shows up kicking butt and taking names, was really fantastic. Then we get into issues 18 and 19. This was a 2-issue split level story that I thought was fantastic. I got some fun variants because why not? This next cover might be one of my favorites of the whole year. I think Jenny Frison just absolutely nailed this. And this is a top of 2025 cover for me. This is from issue number 19, International Women's Day cover. But holy cow, gang, that's an absolute top tier. And then the next storyline is the last thing that I read, and it kicks off in issue 20, and it has to do with a team, like an anti Birds of Prey squad that is capturing Barda and then utilizing her they've added this character called Ink, Inque, Ink, and she has sort of coated Barda and then is using her, piloting her, controlling her, like a Venom kind of a thing. And this is a great variant as well. So this storyline ended in issue 24, and that's where I stopped. So I have not read the most recent 2 issues. So I am only 2 issues behind on Birds of Prey. So I have those issues right here. Fantastic. I just got this. I think I might have gotten this variant while in Orlando. So I've got to read the 2 new issues, which start the next storyline, but I do hear it's the last storyline. The rumor I'm hearing is that Birds of Prey wraps in December. So it's the final arc. There's going to be an issue here in October, I believe, November, and then December will be the finale. So I'm sad. I've really enjoyed the run. I thought they've done a very good job, but obviously, finance makes the decisions in the end. So there you go. Those are my DC books that I've been reading. And here's what's next. Starman. James Robinson's Starman, which was recommended to me first and foremost by our friend of the channel, Cliff on Comics. And he heard that I had no idea who Starman is. And I'll tell you right now, gang, look, if it involves the Justice Society, I don't know who. I've certainly heard of the Golden Age Green Lantern, Alan Scott, and the Golden Age Flash, whose name doesn't come to mind right away. I've heard of these characters, but I've never read any of them. And then, of course, almost all the other characters, even Mr. Terrific, I had no clue who that was until I read Tom King's Strange Adventures. And he's prominent in that. So these characters, Stargirl, like I don't know who they are. I've never watched any of the shows. Jay Garrett, thank you. I wasn't going to get there. So for me, anytime somebody's like, "Oh, you've never heard of," and then they throw out a name, if it's a DC character, 9 times out of 10, it's because I've never read Justice Society. When I try to read those books, I tend to get super confused. It's probably how people who've never read X-Men feel trying to read an X-Men comic. I'm not going to lie. I agree there's hypocrisy there. I have not found the entry point for the Justice Society. And maybe this will be the book. Maybe James Robinson's Starman will be the book, because I bought both compendiums. And my goal is to read through this one, and then hopefully, depending on how much energy I've got left, because there's like 56 comics in here, hopefully move on to the volume 2. This one has 0 through 42 of the Starman run, both of the annuals 1 and 2, an 80-page Starman giant size book, the Starman Secret Files and Origin, number 1, the Power of Shazam 35 and 36. So there's 2 more. And then some stories from Showcase 95, issue 12, and Showcase 96, issues 4 and 5. Then, if you're like, that's enough, John, then it's got the 4-issue miniseries, The Shade, which is like his antagonist character, his villain, the bad guy, his bad guy. So far, I'm 3 issues in, and it's very entertaining. It kicks off with a bang, literally, and it's very exciting. So hopefully I will get through a big chunk of it this weekend and see where I come out on the other side. Fingers crossed. It's as exciting as Cliff made it out to be, because he told me it was a crime that I have not read any of these books. And so let's undo this crime. Let's pay the penance. But yeah, that's pretty much it, gang. I think that's about all I've got time for today. I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us. I've got some sports going on this weekend. Next week, I think I've got a couple of live streams, but I'll keep you up to date on them. I posted the live stream for my C3 event, and I will be updating all the information that'll go in the list down below. So you can keep an eye out for that as it comes up. A friend just jumped in the chat, and it's this guy, the Drew Manchu himself. What is up, baby? Good to see you, Drew. I hope that you made it back home. I think you're home by now, right? Maybe he's still. No, you know what? He might still be there. He might still be doing the Orlando thing. It's probably lunchtime. Oh, okay. He's home. Lucky man. It sounded like he had an incredible time. He was hitting up horror nights over at Universal, and he went to all the Disney theme parks. And so I hope that it lived up to the norm of your annual vacations that you guys take. All right, gang, I am going to bounce. I'm going to get back to reading some Starman. I'm going to finish my Birds of Prey. I'm going to put these books back where they go. It's my anniversary this weekend. So my wife and I, we're going to be going out to dinner tonight, and I'm going to be cooking something special tomorrow night because technically the anniversary is tomorrow. But, it's a Sunday. Who wants to celebrate on a Sunday when you have a Saturday with no soccer games? Yeah, that's the day you pick to to celebrate. So we're doing that today. So that'll be my day, but I'll be, making some time to read, some time to relax, and some time to clean. So I hope you all have a great Saturday. I appreciate everybody spending a little time goofing around and listening to me rant and rave about fun DC books that I've been reading. And hopefully you heard some things that make you want to go to your local comic shop and grab some books and celebrate some good reading too. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll catch you all again later.